we ran into a blizzard. And I mean, the snow was coming down horizontally. So our visibility was only about to the hood of the vehicle. That's all we could see.
Because the road is so hazardous, the road is so treacherous, and it's just accidents left and right, and really frightening po.
I keep on saying, God, please, allow us to reach our destination safely. Guide us, please.
We found out about the possibility of being part of the rededication about 6 weeks before it was to take place. And it was exciting. But at the same time, we looked at where we were at as far as the main sanctuary being completed and to be a part of the rededication, to saying it would take a miracle. It would absolutely take a miracle for us to be included. A lot of the things that had to be completed within that 6-week period, number one was to complete the entire main sanctuary, meaning from carpet to pews, to podium, choir loft, chandeliers, just to name a few things.
We have to pick up the materials in Missouri. And then I was the first one to volunteer. I was so excited to volunteer that, hopefully we can get the materials, and with God's blessings, we can bring it here to finish everything.
I was still on vacation. I was in Hawaii, and I had to cut it short. I volunteered to get that pews and the tribuna, the pulpit from Ozark, Missouri. I have to fly back to Everett to join Brother Stan and Brother Tony to go to Ozark, Missouri.
So we set out Thursday morning after a prayer, and we considered the mountain passes, one of the Cascade Mountains in Washington, the other the Rocky Mountains in Idaho and in Montana. We knew that we would face snow in those areas, so we wanted to be at a certain point in our travel during the periods. But what we did not anticipate was the snow that we encountered in the Great Plains when we went into Wyoming. And it was at nightfall, and as we proceeded through Wyoming, it started to snow.
There's been this powerful winter storm sweeping the country, dropping several inches of snow in several states. The storm moving into the Midwest, impacting millions.
It is a winter system. We are seeing a lot of snow falling across parts of Colorado, but it's really heavy over here towards Sioux Falls, South Dakota, into Nebraska. We have winter weather advisories surrounding that. Driving will be, of course, one of those things that could be a problem today in those areas.
We were inundated with snow and darkness, and we could only travel probably about 45 miles an hour, and it was completely challenging because we have to be in Ozark, Missouri at a certain time, and if we don't get there in a certain time, there's no way that we could be back in Everett, Washington in order to make the final preparations for the rededication.
It has to be done that day because that's what we promised to God, our dedication and our thanksgiving at the same time.
Ang sabi ng Biblia sa atin, lahat ay magbigay ng buo nilang papuri at pasasalamat sa Panginoong Diyos. Sa makatwid, hindi natin inimbento ang pagpapasalamat sa Diyos. Ito ay nakasulat sa Biblia na ipinag-utos ng Diyos sa kanyang bayan. Hindi natin dapat iwasan yon. Kaya nga kinasasabikan yan ng lahat ng mga Iglesia ni Cristong tunay na sumasampalataya. Sapagkat kinikilala nila yung lahat ng kabutihang yon na ginagawa ng Panginoong Diyos sa ating buhay. Sa kabila ng lahat ng mga pagsubok, sa kabila ng lahat ng kaligaligan, ang Diyos naging kanlungan natin. Ang Diyos ang siyang tumulong sa atin. Hindi niya tayo pinabayaan. Kaya walang dahilan para hindi tayo magpasalamat sa Kanya. Dapat lang, pasalamatan natin ang ating Panginoong Diyos ng ating buong puso.
When we got into this part of South Dakota and going into Iowa, we ran into a blizzard. And I mean, the snow was coming down horizontally. So it was coming down probably about 50, 60 miles an hour. So our visibility was only about to the hood of the vehicle. That's all we could see.
Our car is going like, swaying like crazy. We have to stop. Then we stop under the overpass. And the road that we passed by, as if it's a war zone. It's a lot of accidents.
I've seen a lot of cars po that was turned upside down. And not only cars, trucks, semis. Really frightening po. And so we keep on praying.
We knew that we could not make it on our own. I didn't realize it was going to be this difficult. We just basically gave everything to God. We came to a point to where we was able to find reprieve at a rest area. And we pulled over. We were exhausted. And we were able to get about 3 hours of sleep at that time. And with the, I would say, love and mercy of God, the snowstorm or the blizzard passed us by. So we arrived in Ozark, Missouri. We called up the manufacturer and told them that we were in town and we wanted to come over and pick up the furnishings. And we were surprised because the owner of the manufacturer told us that the furnishing was not complete. We waited there for 17 hours for them to complete all the furnishings. We need to be back to Everett, Washington, no later than Wednesday. So we set out from Missouri, and because of the weather, it was so treacherous going. The route was a little bit longer coming back, but it was safer, so we thought. So we set out and we call it the southern route. We proceeded from Missouri to Oklahoma, through Texas, and we went into Albuquerque, New Mexico. At that point, when we got to Albuquerque, New Mexico, we were again exhausted, but we decided that we were going to push through. We went through Flagstaff, Arizona, into Barstow, California, and then we went to Bakersfield, California, because we knew if we could get to Sacramento, California, then we could basically make it to Everett within that window of time that we needed. But as we left Bakersfield, California, and got almost into Sacramento, we ran into one of the biggest rainstorms that you can imagine.
It is just brutal out here. It's cold, it's windy, and sometimes it's just difficult to stand in place. And if you're driving out here, well, it is downright dangerous. The rain was not only coming down hard, but the wind is blowing the rain sideways, so it makes it very difficult to see out your windshield. Now, bottom line, if you have to drive, slow down, give yourself time on the roads. If you don't have to drive, stay home.
Not only the physical exhaustion, but now the mental exhaustion was starting to set in. And we just prayed because we didn't have anything else. And we know that once we get through this rainstorm, we have 10 hours to get to Everett.
All in our mind is we have to move on. Our task is to deliver the pews and the tribuna on time. There's no way that we're gonna fail. We have to be successful in this task that was given to us, no matter what.
In order to get to Everett, we have to cross the snow pass in Shasta, California, and the snow pass in Ashland, Oregon, including Grants Pass in Oregon. We knew we had to get through those two. And as we proceeded up the mountain, about 3/4 of the way, the road turned to ice.
I was crying, brother. I keep on saying, God, please, allow us to reach to our destination safely. Guide us, please. This is very important to us. We know that you will not forsake us. To finish this chapel, we need to bring this safely.
After we passed through those stretch of mountains, we just proceeded on from that point to Everett. And as we got into Olympia, Washington, the interstate was closed. It was like we've been through all of these things and now the interstate was shut down.
Pagka malapit ng araw ng paghukom, marami ng mga bagay na mangyayari na maaaring umagaw sa atin para tayo ay makarating sa kaligtasan. Kasi di ba, alam naman natin yun eh. Talagang si Satanas gagawa ng lahat ng paraan para tayo hindi maligtas. Ngayon, mga kapatid, alam naman natin kung ano ang sitwasyon ng daigdig. Pumunta ka lang sa internet, di ba, sa social media, sari-sari nang makikita mong mga bagay na pai-impluwensya sa iyo para nang sa ganun yun ang paniwalaan mo, pero maghihiwalay sa iyo sa Panginoong Diyos. Huwag tayong pumayag. Kasi ang gusto ng ating Panginoong Diyos, makarating tayo sa Kanya. Maligtas tayo sa araw ng paghukom. Kaya ano kinakailangan sa atin? Kinakailangan, huwag tayong lalakad ng palayo sa ating Panginoong Diyos. Manatili tayo sa ating paninindigan. At gawin natin yan tuwing tayo ay nagpapasalamat sa ating Panginoong Diyos. Kailangan yung aral ng Diyos, yung pamamaraan niya, nasa ating puso, nasa ating isipan. Kinakailangan natitiyak natin, hindi tayo humihiwalay sa mga kalooban ng ating Panginoong Diyos. Namamalagi tayo sa ating kahalalan. Kinakailangang natitiyak natin yung ating pagsamba nagagawa natin. At yung pagsamba natin yun dapat nakapagdudulot ng kasiyahan sa Kanya. Pananagutan natin ang lahat ng yan para natin lalong maipakita sa Diyos ang ating pagpapasalamat sa Kanya na tayo ay aktibong Iglesia ni Cristo, na tayo ay masigla sa ating pagka-Iglesia ni Cristo.
The interstate was closed. And Brother Ed and I made a quick decision, let's just go around it. So we exited the freeway and we went down about 2.5 miles. And luckily, we were able to get around that area that was shut down. I can honestly say I've done a lot of things in my life, but this was by far the hardest thing I've ever done. But it wasn't us. I promise you it was not us, because we couldn't do it. We could not do it. It was God's guidance.
God is very merciful, kind, compassionate. That's why He allows us to finish this chapter. That's why until now, whatever happened to my life, whatever happened to this world, I don't worry about, because I know God is with us inside the Church of Christ.
Every time there is a need to volunteer for church, I have to stand up and help out for the glory of God and for the sake of the church.
Alam natin, mga kapatid, na mahirap ang buhay sa mundo. Ipinagpauna na sa atin ng mga salita ng Diyos na talagang pagkamalapit na ang araw ng paghukom, talagang sasagupa tayo sa maraming pagsubok sa ating buhay. Pero ang Diyos nangako rin, kung natatandaan ninyo, na ituro ito sa pagsamba. Pagka tayo ay tumawag sa ating Panginoong Diyos, ano ang kanyang pangako sa atin? Sasagutin niya tayo. Hindi niya tayo pababayaan. Kasi mga hinirang niya tayo. Bagamat alam niya, itong mga bagay na ito ay masasagupa natin, ngunit hindi siya mawawala sa ating buhay sapagkat tayong bayan niya, tayo ang mga lingkod niya. Gusto niya makarating tayo sa piling niya.